begin the presentation of the bond referendum and the recognition of our very own Mr. Rick Taylor. I'm Billy Snyder. I'll be your host and MC for this evening's event. I graduated from Pennsauken in 1989, and for the past 20 years I've been teaching up at the High School of Science. I'm excited and honored to be standing here before you for this very important event. I hope you enjoyed the food that was supplied by many of the local restaurants. I hope you enjoyed the band as they were playing. Please make sure to check out the list of the local vendors, and please support all of our Pennsauken businesses who kind of helped and supported us. Now, tonight's program should last less than 1 hour. That's the goal, is to get you all the information in less than an hour. We want to give you a comprehensive look at everything the bond referendum has and the direction that Pennsauken schools are headed. Everything you see tonight will be available on the website. Everything will be available, as far as the numbers and the slides, will be available after tonight. As you came in, you met some of our middle school students and our high school students as they were walking around. You should have received the program. All right, this is going to be important. And you should have also received a question sheet. And at the table, there are questionnaires. So if I could direct your attention to the program first. Inside the program, there is the website, an email address, and a QR code. We're moving in the world of technology. You can kind of scan that QR code with your smartphone, and it'll take you right to the website. If after tonight you have questions, and maybe you thought you should have asked it tonight, that's what these resources are for. You can go to the website, you can go email us. Please ask the questions, and that's what those resources are for. That's why we want to give you a program so you can take it with you. If you have questions tonight, what we want you to do, we're please asking that you fill out the purple card. So the purple card is going to be your questions, and there's beakers on the table. That I'm the science guy, so I took them out of my classroom. They're the centerpieces. That's the level of creativity I have. But the beakers are for you to put the questions in. We want to compile all those questions and put the answers online, so that way everyone would have access to the questions and the answers that we get from tonight. We have a crowd of more than 100 people, so we want to respect everybody's time. We're not going to open the floor for questions, but we are going to be able to answer the questions. We do have a plan, and we hope that everyone can kind of partake in the plan. We need your input as well, and that's the idea of the questionnaire. How did you hear about this? We're going to have future events, and we'd like to be able to correspond and know what methods of communication are working the best for us. So in order to complete the program in less than an hour, like I said, we ask that you refrain from shouting out questions during the information. Around the room, throughout the room, there are many staff and teachers, administrators. Some of us are wearing black, some of us are wearing coaching shirts, and we're here to answer the questions. We will go around in smaller groups at the end. We'll put the posters back up. The posters are also on the table to answer your question. We also have the Board of Education here, so I would like to acknowledge them because it really is their plan. So Joanne Young is here, Diane Johnson, Dr. Allison Maloney, Cheryl Duffy, Orlando Vieira, and Nick Perry are all here tonight, and they will also answer your questions, small groups, as we go around after the information. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Ron Tarchishi and Bob Garrison of Garrison Architects. Many of you know Dr. Tarchishi. He is the superintendent of schools at Pennsauken. Many of you may not know Bob Garrison. Bob Garrison is of Garrison Architects. They're one of the leading firms in South Jersey. They deal with over 60 schools. Currently, right now, they're working with Edgewater Park, Maple Shade, Cinnaminson, Palmyra, just to name a few. So just to give you an idea, this is not the only thing that he is doing. He is very good at what he does. And they are going to go through the entire presentation. They're going to walk you back and forth. We have 2 microphones. It's going to be a conversation kind of back and forth. They're going to share the academic vision along with the physical buildings and how this referendum is going to impact us as a community. So at this time, I'd like to invite those 2 gentlemen forward to kind of get the whole show started. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
How's everyone? That's the only question. So we're going to go through this in detail. Okay, we'll start from the first slide, take you through the entire step of the program, from pre-K all the way down to the high school level. Okay, so let me get started. As you can see from the referendum here, we touch on the early childhood, pre-K, our elementary schools, our intermediate school, the middle schools, and the high school. Here's your profile. Pretty much just what I just said. We touch on every school in the district here. We have a full plan. So, in Pennsauken, we have served about 5,500 students. We currently serve under 5,000 students. A plan of action needs to be put in place to make sure Pennsauken has a future, not just for its teachers, not just for its students, but for the town itself. The plan is simple. We do a full day pre-K. It's free. So we have about 300 seats, full day pre-K. It helps us to encourage students to start school early. It helps parents financially, and we have it in multiple buildings. It won't just be in Baldwin. We'll have 2 classrooms in Fine, 1 in Carson, 1 in Del Air, and 1 in Franklin. In addition, all of our elementary schools go K-3, and then we do a 4-5 building at the intermediate school. We put 6th grade back into the middle school. That's where your curriculum actually starts anyway for math and science, and then we go to the high school. We also build within that a full magnet high school. And let me just say, for all those who are wondering about it, a magnet high school, for us, will not be a charter school. It is an application-based public school system. Okay? So we go to Baldwin, and I'm going to take you to the pictures. The numbers are available online. Any questions that you might have about the numbers, ask us in groups or ask online. We can answer them for you, but we're not going to go through the numbers in detail as it will bore you. We will go through them in small groups. So you can see from Baldwin here that we build 2 very, very large classrooms on the very end. Very large in comparison to the classrooms we currently have. We're at full bathroom scales. We put 6 bathrooms into the facility, going to the crawl space, and then we put security vestibule right in front of the building. One of the themes that we're touching on here is security vestibules throughout the entire district, and we do it all in one shot. If you have paid attention to the news, you see Cherry Hill put a security vestibule in, and it was a big deal. We're doing it in every single building we have. Okay, it's important in today's climate to keep our kids not only educated, but primarily safe. What you can see from the numbers is there is a state share and a local share. Okay, the state, because this is a public school program, picks up a state share of the program. And the local share is what we put in with our taxes.
So I think it's important to note, Ronnie, that 63.25% of the cost of many of these projects in the referendum are eligible for that state share. It's almost like the residents and the Board of Education going back up to Trenton and taking some of your hard-earned tax dollars and getting that and bringing it back to your community. And that's what's so special about bond referendums. And I applaud the Board of Education to offer this initiative. Going to get your money from Trenton, bringing it back in your community so that you offset the tax increase.
So here's what a security vestibule looks like, so to speak. If you're not familiar, what it is you basically walk into a building. Let's just say you want to drop off your lunch or books for a child. It only allows someone to buzz you into the building. When you walk into a building, you're buzzed in now, but you can go right or you can go left in some buildings. That's not safe. We want to keep you right in front to keep our kids safe. So we can lock doors on both sides if we feel there's an intruder, and we can trap the person. That's what security vestibules do. They keep your kids safe. We want them in every single building in our district.
One of the things also that you'll see is some of the vestibules are easier to modify than others. Sometimes we just move an interior door back further in the hallway. Many times we put a transaction window in like a bank teller so that we don't disrupt the office staff, and you can drop that lunch off that your student forgot earlier in the day.
Absolutely. So what you see from this slide is you have Burling, Bel Air, Intermediate, and the Fine School all get security vestibules. You can see it from the slide, and there's modifications throughout these buildings as well, in addition to the security vestibules. Carson, if you're familiar with that school in itself, Carson needs desperately new windows, new doors. And we put them in throughout the entire building. As you can see, new windows, new doors. And Carson's one of the schools in our district that really needs security vestibules, because you walk in, you can go right, you can go left, nothing's stopping you. So we need to keep the kids safe. Security vestibules there is a must.
And think about security also in windows and doors. That's an obvious thing that you would have in your home. But also, putting new exterior windows and doors will increase the envelope of the building and also conserve energy.
Absolutely. Franklin Elementary School, you can see the same thing. Security vestibule, new windows, new doors throughout the entire building. Okay? Desperately needed. Longfellow. Okay? Longfellow is in dire need of being removed. So Longfellow is falling apart. What we're going to do is tear it down, right? But we're going to make it a kind of a historic event. And what we want to do is give something back to the community to increase the property values. So what we've designed here is a state-of-the-art park that mimics parks like the Blue Barn, the Mount Laurel Acres Park, these parks that will bring in residents, and they'll be happy to certainly come in, not just live in the community, but have their kids be part of the community. You can see that our architect here, I'm sorry, Bill Finnegan gave me a bad pointer.
Mine's better. Okay. So we get the track around this way, the pickleball courts, the pavilion, and this is the footprint of the building to be demolished. You also note in the slide that we saved the existing parking lot, and then we put pedestrian lighting in here. These buildings in the community, any community they work in, are assets for the community. They belong to the community. So the thought process here is to repurpose this particular site for a broader benefit to the residents. Maybe some of our older residents would be able to take advantage of some of these amenities. Trying to get something for everybody in the bond referendum was a focus of the board, and again, I applaud them for that.
So if you look at the park here, what you have is something really special. You have a 2-lane walking or jogging track, 3 very small parks to the side. Where the footprint of the building was will be a larger park. You have pickleball courts for your seniors and whoever likes to play pickleball. In addition, you have a huge parking lot. Lights around the entire structure of the park. Truly a beautiful state-of-the-art park, rightly named for Code Red, the Red Barn, named by Mr. Billy Snyder. Okay? The middle school. What you have at the middle school is something really special. The person who put the middle school together was a genius. I'm not sure if it was Bob, I don't think it was. But the middle school allows us to have schools within schools. What you have is here, we divide it into wings now. 6th grade wing, 7th grade wing, 8th grade wing. So you stay within the wing of your building. Now, if you look here, what we did was, inside each wing, we put a brand new lab. You have an earth science lab, a physical science lab, and a biological science lab. And down at the bottom, we add 2 new classrooms. Plenty of space for up to 1,300 students, and it is a school, again, within a school. So it's like GT programs embedded into the middle school, okay? It is truly, the design of this school is made for this. So you have, again, a 6th grade wing with an earth science lab, 7th grade wing, physical science lab, 8th grade wing, biological science lab. We start pre-algebra in 6th grade, moving into algebra in 7th, then geometry in 8th, if you can go that fast. Otherwise, you start geometry in 9th, algebra 2 in 9th. The students are at an excelled rate, both in math and science, okay?
The other important thing to note is that returning it to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade matches the state's philosophy or model for a middle school in New Jersey. So by doing that, we go back to the initiative with state government and their grade configurations.
That's right. So it follows the next generation science standards, all of your math standards. Now, we went to semester block scheduling, if you can remember. Through this model and semester block scheduling, a student potentially can get to DBQ, which is differential equations, or at least Calc 2, while they're in high school, which is unbelievable. If you can go to Calc 2 when you're in high school, believe me, as a student, you can accomplish anything. Anything. So this is where we talk about our new magnet high school. So you can see that Mr. Garrison really took a building that was put together very well by architects a long time ago, and he added on top of a multi-purpose room 3 laboratories. You need 1,200 square feet in the state of New Jersey to have a laboratory. It gives us 1,230 for a biological science lab, a chemistry lab, and a physics lab, moving you directly into what we need. So you can actually host in this laboratory organic chemistry, which is a state-of-the-art facility. Over here, you see a larger footprint of the building where you actually have the locker rooms connected to the building, moving into a brand new state-of-the-art gym that our community, we will allow our community members to use in the evening. And then you see the locker rooms on the side, as I said, and brand new parking to the left.
So when the building was designed, and I wasn't that brilliant, we looked at the old plans from the 1930s. In the 1930s, that depressed multi-purpose room was designed to have an auditorium above it. So we simply took the idea or the vision or the concept of the original design, instead saying auditorium, no, let's do science labs, yes, and it fit into the footprint. So it really worked out well. The other thing is our students eat downstairs in this multi-purpose area. That's the food service line. Wouldn't it be great when they come out and they transition into this patio space on a nice day between the addition and the existing building for eating their lunch in a safe environment with the way the building's designed?
Absolutely. So let me talk about the curriculum here for a second, because that's a hot button. So what this is a specialized curriculum in mathematics and science. Our students here, it'll be an application-based school where it is the iron sharpening iron. Students will start in geometry and algebra 2 in 9th grade, moving them into DBQ or at least Calc 3, and then they'll have the potential to take organic chemistry 1 and 2 in our dual credit program through RCBC, Rowan College of Burlington County. Potential to earn more than 60 college credits. This type of school, right, is no charter school. This exists in Monmouth County vocational schools, Bergen County vocational schools, and Middlesex County vocational schools. The top schools in the state. You want to find out who scores the highest in the state? Look at Monmouth County Vocational Schools High-Tech High School. That's what this is modeled after. This is a top-notch school hosted in Pennsauken. Now we go to the flagship high school, all right? So let me point this out. Any course that you can take in our high-tech high school, you can take in our flagship high school. The flagship high school gets a number of renovations. I feel like I've talked a lot. Do you want to talk about this one?
Sure. And on the end, on our vocational wing, you might know that the district just completed culinary. And we applaud those students this evening that prepared some of the food that you're taking part in this evening and enjoying. We also did cosmetology. Next year, the board has authorized some monies for our welding shop and electrical trades. In order to complete the vocation and the real wing and completing the loop, we're going to add an HVAC plumbing lab to the far left. You see the blow up in this area. Back in the core of the building, coming back down, we know that our locker rooms need to be replaced. They're completely renovated, gutted, new ventilation, finishes, etc. A specialty item in the renovations and the vision is the library. The library, as you know, is an original space. It's outused its life with finishes, but also not just the finishes, the carpeting and whatnot, but really in the way that it's used. The vision going forward is an instructional media center. Instructional. Using that space, putting glass walls up, dividing it, putting technology in there so that our students have a better tomorrow and a better opportunity. And we'll show you a video. Actually, the video was playing when you came in this evening for the media center. The other thing is our security theme is a new main entrance. Defining the entrance to Pennsauken High School. It sits back, as you know, the beautiful memorials on the right-hand side. We want to bring that out, bring it out with a new definition and new signage, and secure that, and make sure that we have a staff person there, because as many of you know, when you go in the building, the main office is deep inside. So again, keeping up with that security theme, and making sure that we put identities onto our buildings, to not only aesthetically, but functionally.
So the flagship high school, inside of 1 year, right? This is our second year. We have put in, and will have put in 2 years, 6 programs, including culinary arts, cosmetology, carpentry, automotive, all CTE programs, welding, electrical construction. And on top of it, I'm sure you've heard, I've put it out there, we have in 1 year been qualified for the Air Force ROTC program, normally taking 5 to 10 years to get. That is 7 new programs inside of a 2-year period. This bond referendum will complete everything. And this is so important for the students, because what it does, it offers opportunity not just at the vocational level, at the academic level, and even at the military level. It offers them very, very awesome opportunities at the athletic level, and we're going to talk about that next. So for this, I'm going to call our legendary coach up, Coach Tab. Okay, so you can take a look at this athletically, and you can see that Pennsauken, as Coach Tab points out, right, is one of the last few schools to actually have lights on the field. We've been trying, Mr. Taylor knows, you've been trying to get lights on the field for a really long time, and you guys deserve to have Friday night light games. Okay, so we put this in the referendum. Not only that, a school of this size, a school of this magnitude, a powerhouse like Pennsauken should be, should host athletic competitions. To do that, we give you an 8-lane track, an all-purpose turf field, a concession stand that is brand new, having actual bathrooms in that facility, so you don't have to walk to the pole barn to use the bathroom. Additionally, you have a brand new fence around the facility that mimics the fence they have over in Morristown. A beautiful gated area. We get new bleacher sections. Well, we add to the bleacher sections, and we add to them over on the visitor side. It truly does just encapsulate what Pennsauken athletics should be. Additionally, we get a field house. Now, the field house, well, let me just go, if I'm walking over here, just so you guys see. In front of the building, you're going to have a five-section tennis court to host competitions. In the back of the building, where the current old tennis courts are that are not functional, we're going to build you a 14,000 square foot field house. All right, now we're going to talk about the importance of the field house in a second. I'm going to call Mr. Schneider back up. But what that does, it totally changes and revamps what athletics are in Pennsauken. And it makes students not only want to come, but want to stay, right? Especially if you're athletes. All our athletes in here know, right, that what we've done to the weight rooms, 2 weight rooms inside of a year period. Now we're looking to add on to that. We want to host band competitions. We want to host every type of competition there is athletically and extracurricularly at Pennsauken. We're putting lights out there in the parking lot to add on to that. We're moving up, we're building onto the existing bleacher section. You have 4 enormous light structures coming in. Like I said, you move towards Route 73 and the tennis courts. We're going to bring tennis back to Pennsauken.
All right, thanks, Dr. T. There was a presentation. They will be available for questions. I'm sure you have them. We're going to kind of finish with the athletics, even though there are a lot of other things that we want to cover. So, Coach, how many playoff games have you played on turf?
Probably 4.
And I know we had our playoff game this year on turf. This is unscripted. We're going to kind of have our conversation too. We kind of figured this out as we're coming in. Just talk. What's it going to mean? As we talk to the kids in the community, as we talk to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, do they really make a decision about coming to a high school if there's lights or turf involved?
Absolutely. We had kids at Woodrow Wilson, Camden High, Paula 6, Camden Catholic, Cherry Hill West, Bishop Eustace. We have kids all over that should be in our building, and some of them are our better kids. If we can get those kids to stay, all the teams, not just football, I'm talking field hockey, soccer, track, all across the board.
Yeah, if you have a teenager right now, it's an image-driven society. They love the uniform, they love the look, they want the logo. That's what they do. They have 15 pairs of sneakers. There's actually a website where they can rent sneakers to make sure they have the most current sneakers. It's an image-driven, so you didn't know that? Yeah. Yeah, I found that out. Yeah, don't say that. Yeah, I had a kid came in 4 days in a row with brand new shoes. I said, Philip, what are you doing? He goes, shh. And he told me to the side, this is an image society, and the image does matter. Fortunately, unfortunately, whether it's right or wrong, the image does matter. This will take us and make us current. It will be a current image. And we do want Pennsauken's kids to stay. We want kids that have a choice to choose Pennsauken. And the referendum puts us in a... I think we're going to get it. But I've talked to parents, and we want to be able to give them a choice. And I think the turf helps with that. We're going to go to the field house. All right, you want to start with the field house, Coach?
Yes, by us having the field house, no school in this area has it. We'll be able to have indoor practices. Baseball, they'll have drop-down nets. Wrestling, they'll be able to host their own meets in there. They'll actually have their own locker rooms in there, some offices in there. It'll be one of a kind. Nobody else has it. It's one of the selling points if we're trying to get our kids, come on, stay in Pennsauken, come on back.
Yeah, so I talked to Mr. Garrison. They've done this in Lower Cape May Township. So it's a state-of-the-art facility. Basically, if you picture the tennis courts, that whole footprint becomes turf. And it's a pole barn for the most part on the turf. The nets suspend. So if you have baseball practice, you can drop the nets and it becomes batting cages. They go back up, and Coach Wallace in PYAA or high school wrestling, the mats come down and they can have wrestling events. It has a locker room and it has bathrooms where it's a standalone. So we can do, Shana can do field hockey clinics, lacrosse clinics, we can hold soccer tournaments. You can do things, phys ed classes. It basically triples the space inside for phys ed because it gives them now a third or fourth option during inclement weather. So it gives us options that we don't have and no one in South Jersey has. And the field house really is a state-of-the-art, one-of-the-kind situation that we're excited about.
One other thing, when we just mentioned, Billy just mentioned, we just opened it in Lower Cape May Regional. And I'm being told down there that if it's not used 18 hours a day, think about it. It's a separate building. It has a separate entrance. It's near the parking in the front. It can be used on weekends, nights, or whatever. Cheerleading practice, PYAA sports, the baseball, soccer, lacrosse. We can put a net inside the metal shell to catch all the balls underneath the lighting and the air conditioning. So you just envision that, and that's why we can do sports like lacrosse. So beyond their wildest dreams, this facility is being used down there, and just imagine having a venue tomorrow with the snow that the kids can go outside, separate air, separate heating, separate entrance, separate security, separate use, go and better themselves in athletics and also physical education.
Yeah, so it is. It's a state-of-the-art, one-of-the-kind, which kind of brings us to basically part of the close of the presentation, because as I said earlier, it's a taste of Pennsauken, and we do hope you enjoyed the food. It is the bond referendum, and it's also a night where we're going to honor Mr. Taylor. The board and Mr. Perry have been talking for a long time. We're trying to figure out how we can best recognize the service and all the sacrifice that he has made, and they came, and the proposal is we're going to name the field house. It's going to be the Rick Taylor Field House. A one-of-a-kind field house will be named after a one-of-a-kind man that has served this community for 40 years. And I know we both have stories. I know Coach Tab has a couple that might be a little different than I went to his office as well, but it was more for the encouragement talk. Coach Tab may have spent a little, my brother was in the office for more than that, but maybe not myself, but.
Good evening.
Now is when he thought he was coming up. He didn't know he was coming up earlier, so now he's ready for his part.
Yeah. And they asked me to speak on behalf of the district and kind of tell what Mr. Taylor means to a lot of people. And I'll just do that with a quick story. I remember being 14 years old, first day of school, Mr. Clark, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Leto, the older guys, they all in the hallway, and I'm going down the hallway, being my normal self, nice and quiet. And all I hear is, "Hey, doctor, slow down." It was Mr. Taylor. All right, so I slowed down. A couple of days later, I was back at it again, running through the hallways. "Hey, doctor, come here. Let me talk to you." He talked to me. I got straight again. And as I walked away the second time, I said, "Man, this man believes in me enough that he wants me to be a doctor. He keeps calling me doctor." Nobody has ever called me doctor before. I've been called some names by some teachers, but it wasn't doctor. And I didn't get it, but I kind of got it. 3 weeks later, there were some guys that were a little worse off than me, and he called them doctor too. I said, "Oh, I get it. He don't know our name." There I was thinking he wanted me to be a doctor. Fast forward, 16 years later, when I got hired to be the head football coach, first call I got, "Mr. Taylor wants you back down at the office." I said, "Man, I'm getting fired. I only been on the job. I ain't been on the job for 6 hours. So I go in the office, Mr. Taylor is telling me the importance of what the head coach means to Pennsauken. There's 3 things people care about in this town, and the head coach is one of them. And on my way out, he says, "You know you're my hero." And I kind of like the doctor thing again. I'm this man's hero. So a couple weeks later, I see him again, "You know you're my hero." And then it finally clicked what he was doing all those years when he called me doctor, when he called me his hero. He was inspiring me. And he's inspired so many people in this town. I still think I could be the mayor because Mr. Taylor was the mayor. And that's the God honest truth. I tell people all the time, I think me and Jabril are going to be running mates. One of us is going to be the mayor of Pennsauken. And a lot of that comes from just Mr. Taylor being who he was. And one of the things that he always told me, and I still believe in today, be firm and fair. And that's one of the things that kind of goes with me. And he always says it to me. He said it to me a couple of weeks ago. "Coach, be firm and be fair. You're never as bad." What was it, Mr. Taylor? "You're never as bad as your worst loss, or as good as your best win." And those things just kind of keep going over and over in my head. And still to this day, Mr. Taylor, I want you to know, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of people, you have inspired generations of people, and will continue to do so. And you are very deserving of this field house and this award.
In addition to recognizing Mr. Taylor, we also want to take an opportunity to acknowledge Mrs. Taylor. For as much as Rick has served, and as many years as he served, and as many meetings and nights away, we want to thank you for your support and your dedication and your sacrifice for everything that you've done for Pennsauken behind the scenes. We know you don't want it. We know you may not even like it. But we just want to present you with a small token from the Board of Education, from Dr. T, from all of the people, from the 40 years in the Pennsauken family. We just want to say thank you. So this is for Mrs. Taylor. All right, now, Mr. Taylor, one more thing. One more thing. If I could direct your attention to the screen.
Hey, Dad, how are you? I'm I'm sorry I'm missing the big event. I wish I could be there with you. This week is Wesley and I's episode, so I'll be on set in just a little bit and dealing with these wildfires and hoping our house doesn't burn down. But I just want to take a minute and just tell you how special you are and how special you've been to Pennsauken. I mean, you've been serving our town for almost 50 years, and you didn't do it for the accolades or the thank yous. You did it because you genuinely love the people of Pennsauken. You served as teacher, as coach, as assistant principal, principal, director of personnel, and mayor. You served on more boards and committees than I could ever name, as well as serving at your church. But no matter where you served, you always served with integrity, compassion, fairness, and honor. And I'm so proud of the man you are and the example you continue to set as a loving husband, father, grandfather, and friend. So we celebrate your dedication and your sacrifice to Pennsauken, and I love you, and I'm so proud of you.
So ladies and gentlemen, 40+ years of service to Pennsauken, a man who is going the distance, a man who continues to go the distance, Mr. Rick Taylor.
I just am counting my blessings. First of all, to have been able to work in a school district for 42 years and seeing some of the products that have come out, our students, that's what a teacher or educator's bonus is. As you, I've had the opportunity to serve you in an elected capacity for 22 years. And I'm proud of that. I always say there's two things that happened to me that were the two best things in my life. I had never heard of Pennsauken, and a woman by the name of Helen Powers, who was an assistant principal at the Pennsauken High School, and Joe Brady, who was assistant principal at the junior high school, they came down to, at that time it was Maryland State College. It's the University of Maryland Eastern Shore now. And I'd never heard of Pennsauken. I was an English major, and she came up and she said, we would like you to come up and visit our school district. And I should remember, because I borrowed my dad's car and had an accident on Union Avenue on 130. But they really were looking for me to go to the junior high because I had done my student teaching at a junior high school in Salisbury, Maryland. But when the car's not working, you stop where you can. And I stopped at the high school, and they offered me the job. That's the first thing. The second thing, I met my wife on a blind date. November 22nd, we have been married for 48 years. So I've been blessed. My sister and I say it all the time, and she's here at the table with my niece and my brother-in-law, the fact that I'm glad we had the type of parents we had. Boy, if I had $1 for every time I went in the next room and I won't say curse, but I mumbled under my breath. But I tell you what, we had parents that were good parents, but they were parents. And they made us do the right thing and made us make the right decisions. My children, my dad used to always say, you don't know how successful you've been as a parent until you see your children raise their children. And I've been blessed with my daughter, who has been in the district for 20 years, plus my son, you saw, who's been out on the West Coast as a writer. And I've been blessed in a lot of ways. So with that, I'm humbled. And believe me, there's a lot. I've worked with some great people, some great teachers. When I was in Township Committee with my colleagues, but I tell you what, there's a lot of people that love this town. And I certainly get excited to see this track and this and that. I don't know if I'll be able to walk around it, but I think for sure can look at it and take pictures of it. But thank you, and thank you for coming out. And Dr. T, you did a great job. Where'd he go? They said he was a magician. A great leadership taking us in another direction, and I'm excited about it. And I hope everyone in this room, and you pass the word that you're excited about it. And once again, thank you, and God bless.
Okay, so as I bring tonight to a close, I'd like to thank Ms. Lingesso, Mr. Denofa, and the award-winning Apache Band. Student Government, National Honor Society, and the Culinary Arts Program for the food service. You can clap if they're not here. Thank you for the vendors. I would like to thank Mr. Morgan and PYAA for allowing us to use the facility of the field house. And finally, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Pennsauken, for coming out. I want to thank you for your time, for your sacrifice to come out, for you caring enough to hear firsthand the vision and the direction that Pennsauken is heading. We really do appreciate, ahead of the snow or wherever it's coming tomorrow, that you did come out tonight. That's crazy. But it's important that you come firsthand. Again, all of the resources, I know tonight was a lot of information, or maybe you didn't get the information you wanted to get, but the information is at the tables. Again, the black shirts, Dr. T is here, Bob Garrison is here. We're not going anywhere. We did say we want to keep it less than an hour. We are under an hour. I appreciate your patience and support in handling tonight. The website is available. Everything will be on there. The video will be on there. We have commercials coming. The email will be up. We check that all the time for your questions. We want to post the answers back there. And we want to leave you with one more important piece of information. All right, and that important piece of information is the entire bond referendum is going to produce and result in $11.06 tax rebate. Your taxes will not go up. We're retiring previous debt. This entire program will not raise the school tax. And it affects me personally. Not only did I graduate and do I teach, I live here. My mom and dad live here. My brother and his wife live in Pennsauken. We live in Pennsauken. This directly affects me. And the $11.06 rebate is a result of the preparation and the thought that Dr. T, the board, and Bob Garrison and his team have put together to keep us in a position of profit. So the vote is not done yet. We're voting on this March 13th. That's the date of the vote. It's the only thing on the vote that day. We ask that you get out and vote. We're going to have multiple events. Please check the website. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We do have dessert. God bless. Have a great night.